Have you ever met a D&I manager? I'm lucky to say I have. Aleks Damchevski is a diversity and inclusion manager. Originally from Macedonia, he lives and works in Switzerland. His job mission at JTI is to help colleagues to be free to be themselves. How great is that? I invite you to listen to Aleks as he tells us about his job, how he got there, and what it takes to be a D&I manager. Aleks, welcome to my podcast. I am so interested in knowing what you do in life, in your professional life. Please, the floor is yours.
Thank you for having me, Laura. I'm very excited to be on your podcast. And I think that the idea you have for bringing different professions from all over the world is exciting and useful for anybody to listen to. Like it is my profession, I guess.
Yes.
So, diversity and inclusion. This is best described, I would say, with the freedom to be yourself. Lots of organizations started including this in their agendas in a way, or in their priorities, because it's first the right thing to do, because you are trying to include everybody, minorities or not. And it's good for business, as proven by many studies. The more diverse people you have, the more your people and your employees feel included, the better it is for business. Now, the pure definition of diversity and inclusion, and the easiest way for people to understand what it is diversity is when you are invited to go to a party. So somebody says, okay, you can come to my party. But then is that enough? Of course not. You can go to a party and then still sit in a corner somewhere. But inclusion comes into place when somebody, especially the host, asks you to dance. And then these two combined give the two dimensions of diversity and inclusion.
That's very interesting. So what I'm thinking is you were looking for a job and found this job description and said, I'm going to apply. How do you get there? Because I've never heard of diversity and inclusion manager jobs.
Yes, it's super interesting, actually. So in my previous job, where I was not part of HR, not part of diversity and inclusion at all, I was working in IT and digital, and that company had diversity and inclusion function already. And I was super interested because it's the job that gives you, it's almost like you're doing volunteering or a non-profit work the whole time, but then you're still paid well in a sense. And as part of diversity and inclusion, there are these groups called ERGs, Employee Resource Groups. And these are the moments where employees can get involved in these D&I topics. And that's how I got first familiarized with the topic. I started volunteering for the LGBT plus group and for the gender equality group. And that felt super good. And I was like, okay, Aleks, there are people who do this as a job for living. Can you somehow find a way to switch to this position? So I did more and more on top of my daily work. So on top of my job, this was not paid. I was like, okay, if you need to do this, you gotta educate yourself and you gotta get some real experience. So, I started creating projects at work and suggesting ideas, talking to all the senior leaders. I was like, okay, this is something I think I have a vision. Why not? Because for them, it comes as a free resource. Usually the diversity and inclusion teams are not that big, a few people and one senior leader, and any help that they can get extra for free almost is very well welcomed. So I used that, and then also I went online to try to educate myself and find some free courses on Coursera and learn a bit more about the backgrounds of diversity and inclusion. And when I saw the job at JTI, I was like, the stars are aligning, but you have to still do, your due diligence in a way. So I will talk about this also later, if we get to the point. But, my CV so far was only digital and IT and all my backgrounds. But I had to somehow make it sound that, I've done these parts as well. So I always tell this advice to everybody. I don't know if it works or not, but said very bluntly, I lie on my CVs a lot. But it's never a complete lie, So if I for every job that I apply to, I always try to customize my CV. So if I've done maybe 20% of my work in diversity and inclusion, in my CV, I will make it look like it's 50%, so it's not a complete lie, but it's something that I can play on a bit more. And I've done that for every job that I've ever wanted, and it has worked. Because, I think anyone out there, you can prepare for the job so much that you can easily become the average person that is in that profession. So if you want to be a developer, you can start already coding by yourself, and then you can claim these projects already in your CV, or in my case, with diversity and inclusion. And during the interviews, I tried to tailor or come up with ideas. They didn't ask me for this, but I brought projects that I think JTA would benefit from. So for example, there is one project that is called Textio, or a program where it's an AI algorithm that scans the job description and is trying to find whether there's bias in the language, or whether you've used mostly masculine language or feminine language, because lots of women, for example, don't apply to jobs because only masculine language is used, very strong, aggressive words. And so what I did, I downloaded the program, I took the free trial, I went to the JTI website where they had posted many different jobs. I took their real job descriptions, I put them in this algorithm, and when I went to the interview, I said, look, you are doing a good job, but this is the result. If you hire me, we could do these kind of things. And then, they analyze the job descriptions and it says 50% not inclusive, or the job ad is too biased, or it's only targeted at men. So, it was trying to demonstrate that I can already bring value to them in a practical way.
So it makes me think that, well, first of all, diversity is a key word in your life, not only for your present job, but also in your professional life, because it seems that you've changed quite a lot. Is that an advantage or is that a disadvantage?
This question is very interesting, and today I feel good, so I will answer it in a positive way. I think it's definitely an advantage. I've accepted that I am a generalist in a way in life. There are some people that prefer to become an expert and they stick to their field, but that is not the case for me. I am a generalist and I want to have a generic knowledge for different areas, and I always want to learn more. So I'm in the job for 2-3 years. That has always been the case, even less sometimes. And I am not satisfied if I become the expert and the go-to person for something. That's good, but then I want to do more. Maybe you've heard of this concept of fixed mindset and growth mindset, in a way where the most simple thing is that you have some people that believe that you are born with your intelligence, and there are some people who think that you can work on your IQ, on your intelligence. And those people who believe in the latter one are having growth mindsets, meaning that they always naturally believe that they can get better and then learn more and do more things. And those are the ones that are becoming more generalists as well. So it is an advantage because to be part of and have the chance to be part of different worlds, there are always traits or skills you can bring with you. My communication skills, my leadership skills, no matter what job you do, or interpersonal skills, so how you talk with, how you lead people, or how you talk to your teammates. These things are applicable to any job you have. The soft part, in a way, that they say, because the hard skills can be learned by anyone. You open a book, you start learning, and that's it. But the soft part is something that you can apply to any job you have.
That's great, because when I moved to Switzerland and I had a CV that is more or less like yours, like I changed jobs every 2-3 years, and it was really hard to find a job because here in Switzerland, they're looking for profiles that do the same thing every year after year, and I didn't. So, and I believe that some HR departments have missed on some opportunities to get someone maybe who has more creativity than others because they were looking for a specific profile. So the AI scanning you talked about is very interesting to me, and I think it's the diversity and inclusion is a great profile to have in a company. But I don't know if many companies can afford that. I mean, JTI, of course, it's a big company, and of course, the purpose of JTI is profit making. So how does a profile like yours fit into their profit making goal? Why would they choose to invest time and money into diversity and inclusion?
Yep, a very, very good question. The simple answer to that is that diversity and inclusion makes money. So, as you said, the organizations that have already a diversity and inclusion department are the ones that can afford it, because once you have lots of pressure from the stakeholders and the shareholders, the more you invest in diversity and inclusion, the bigger the value of the organization is. The equity and the creditor analysts, the stock prices go up. Because when you look at it from the employee perspective, but also from the consumer perspective, whatever the company is trying to sell, everybody now is trying to connect with brands that give them meaning. So if you just sell a product that's good, a product by itself, consumers will not buy it. You have to connect with them in a different level that creates for them, okay, I connect with this brand, or this brand sees me more than just providing me a t-shirt, but this brand is providing me a t-shirt that says, you be who you are, or accept yourself in a way, and these are very deep values of people that you can touch anybody in some sense. But to go back to the profit that I mentioned, yes, these companies are investing because it makes the company work better. It makes the employees work better. And every company wants employees who are performing well. So you can take a simple example of, having diverse teams. With this, I mean, if you have, and usually in many companies right now, you have white, straight males who are the most senior people, and then you have only one woman that is on the board or on the leadership team. But everybody brings a different perspective and background. So when you're trying to solve a problem, and the majority of your consumers are women, for example, on the consumer side, and you have 10 men and 1 woman who is trying to come up with an idea for this target group, it will never work. So that's why the companies are, and this is proven by many studies, that the more diverse teams you have, the better the creativity and the idea generation and the innovation of the company. And then every company now is trying to be as innovative as they can be.
What does a typical day at work look like?
Oh, this is a tough question to answer because every day is really different than the other. I can talk maybe about a week, more or less, because what is part of the strategy that we have for diversity and inclusion is 5 strategic pillars. Number 1 is gender equality. Number 2 is NWOW, that is new ways of working. And this is flexible working, remote work, trying to give more independence and autonomy to employees instead of, presentism and expecting everybody to work 9 to 5 and to be present in the office, etc. Psychological safety, I can talk about that as well. The third one is LGBT plus inclusion. Fourth one is well-being. And 5th one is race and ethnicity. And all these different pillars bring different agendas to my work week or work day. For all of this, we have something called executive sponsors. And these are people who are reporting directly to the CEO, so who are on the executive board. And each of them champions for one of these topics. Because we are, in a way, a small team and a catalyst. So we are coming up with some initiatives, but someone else has to carry this. So, for example, that's why I think when you said a smaller company, can they afford it? Do they need to have a specific D&I person? Not always, because the ideal world of D&I is when this is embedded in everybody's day life. So let's say if you are a hiring manager, you should know that there is a rule of D&I where you say in the final round of candidates, I'm giving an equal opportunity to both men and women. So I'm trying to get a list of candidates which has equal representation of both genders. Or if you are creating, every organization have to have a family leave policy. So if you are trying to have some benefits, then try to make them in the most inclusive way, because you don't need to have a specific person. You just need to have the mindset of diversity and inclusion, and you can still make some changes in your organization. So my day looks like from coming up with new global policies like this, or my week, to meeting with the senior executives, to also meeting with employees with these ERGs, as I mentioned, which are representing the voice of the employees. So the race and ethnicity, for example, when Black Lives Matter happened and we created this global ERG, it's a group of people, 30 to 50 people, that they get together, they share their ideas, they share their struggles, because I cannot, or the senior leaders cannot always see what's it like on the other side, So that's why these ERGs are the voice of the employee, in a sense. They get together, they bring up some ideas, and we meet with them, and we try to implement and change areas of the system. So, if they feel this, I can give you an example of an LGBT plus topic, for example. They saw that in the health benefits, if you have a spouse, then you get your part. If you have a straight spouse, or if you're married, husband or a wife, you get the benefits for the partner as well. But if you are in a same-sex relationship, this is not covered. So this is something that the employees brought to us, that they have experienced, and we sit down together with the team. We said, okay, this has to be changed, and it's an idea that came from this specific group of employees who are voicing their concerns. And it's a platform to exchange ideas, sometimes to just let out what's in your heart, but mostly are used for ideas how to make life better for everyone at work.
Thank you. You were mentioning a very inspiring example of parental leave, and that you've been, as a company, achieving a really good target here in Switzerland, because in Switzerland, men only receive maximum 2 weeks leave. And what have you done at JTI?
This was almost 2 years in the making, I have to say, because we are a global organization with 40,000 employees. We are present in more than 60 markets, in more than 60 countries. And to come up with a global family leave policy, it was tough. Tough because, you have so many local regulations, but our goal was clear. We want to make a family leave policy that is inclusive for everybody, and that really enables gender equality and changing the roles of society that men and women have as well. So, as you said, in Switzerland, for women, it's 18 weeks, I think. For men, it's 2 weeks, as per the latest legal change. And at JTI, our policy is 20 weeks, regardless if you are a man, if you're a woman, if you are gay, if you are straight, if you became a parent through adoption or surrogacy or natural birth, it really does not matter. Everyone is enabled to take care of their families and to take care of their careers as well. And there's something that happens there, because usually when if you are a woman and then you're trying to get hired, and many employees have in mind, okay, so maybe she will go on maternity leave, so maybe I shouldn't consider that for a promotion or not the best project. Now they can make the same assumption for a man or a woman. It just doesn't matter. It's equally, if the woman can go to 20 weeks on maternity leave, the father can also the man can go on maternity leave for 20 weeks, and you have the same absence from work, which should be normal and included. And that changes also how in society it goes outside of work. It goes what is the role that men have to play in the households, because there are many countries where you have lots of women who are working, but then they go back home. They are in the workforce, but they go back home and they still have to do all the chores and all the cleaning and all the cooking. And that is not the point of gender equality. This sounds very corporate in a way, it's a policy, but is it used or not? And just last week, we received a very nice email that makes it all worthwhile, which was an employee who is father-to-be or just became a father, and he just wanted to send a quick note to thank us for giving him the best gift, and that is time to spend time with his family. And that warms my heart, because this job is the most meaningful job I've ever had. You're really making an impact in people's lives.
Wow, that is truly inspiring. So now, for somebody who listens to this podcast episode and says, oh my God, I know what I want to do in life, D&I, diversity and inclusion manager, where do I start? I mean, do I have to study? Do I have to look for jobs with that title? Do I need to talk to people? What would you suggest to someone who would like to have your job?
Someone that would like to have my job, I think you have to, first of all, really be clear with yourself why you like this job. Because lots of people would like the idea, but there are dark sides in a way to the job, meaning that you are dealing with lots of inequalities at work. You are the change maker. So you have to be ready to be faced with no's and walls all the time, because it can be very frustrating. This is a marathon, it's not a sprint. And if you want to change the mindset of so many people, it doesn't happen overnight. So you have to be so resilient if you're going to go for this job. Then the best advice that I can give you is that look around at whatever you are doing. As I said before, you can make diversity and inclusion changes no matter where you are. If you are a chef, what is the ratio of the gender ratio in your cuisine? Is everybody inclusive enough? Can you suggest some things if you work in finance or if you work in IT? There's so many different elements, and the best thing is that you roll up your sleeves and try to come up with ideas and projects that are having the D&I lens. There are no real studies that you can study for this job. I would say it's because there's so many people with different backgrounds. I mean, look at me. I'm coming from IT and digital. Who knew that, this can be valuable? But then it is. There are people that come from legal backgrounds. There are many that come from HR and finance. Really, you can come from any background that you have. The most important thing is that you can make it practical for yourself and try to educate yourself with, podcasts like this and reading online, trying to learn the history of how things happened and when did the women's rights movement happen, etc., so that you are credible. And the rest is almost learning on the job, as also my boss likes to say, if you have the right mindset.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Aleks. I think we've covered pretty much all the main points that I wanted to cover. I don't know if you have any other points that you would like to add. Do you? You do?
Yes.
Awesome. Okay. Then I'll let you talk.
Well, just one point, because of course my latest job is so exciting and I can talk about this for hours, but I want to also reflect back on all the other jobs I've had before. You can have any job you want. I've changed so many jobs, and you just have to make sure that you are working for it. You are capable of. So in a way, this is not the most popular opinion out there, but I think there are a lot of people who are just average at their job. So for you to become as capable as the average person in a job you want, it's very easy to get. You can do this with a lot of self-learning and then fake it till you make it. So I've done this, it works. I really, together with the lying on your CV smartly in a way, with this, I think you can get any job you want in any field out there. That's it.
Okay, excellent. Thank you so much, Aleks. It was coming from the heart, and I'm very happy that I've met you, and I wish you all the best, and thank you so much.
Thank you. Very happy to be on your podcast, as I said, and good luck. See you soon.
Thank you.